Hey there and welcome to the show. You are watching the Nth Degree TV. My name is Tracy Timm, and of course you have found yourself in the place to be to take your career from stuck to unstoppable. I'm so excited to have you here today because as you can see, we're doing yet another testimonial with yet another really happy Nth Degree Academy client. And so I want to welcome Nichole to the show today. Nichole, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Me too. This is going to be a lot of fun. It'll be just basically like two girlfriends catching up because from the first day that you and I got to talk to one another after you watched a webinar that I was featured on, I think we just got each other and had a very great vibe and a very great relationship from the get-go. And you were in such a prime place to make a commitment and make a change in your life in this area. And so that's where we're going to go from here. And you know what's so funny? I went and dug up all my notes from our very first conversation together. So I have I feel like I'm pretending to be engaged at work and I'm really not. And, am I ever going to find something meaningful and worthwhile? And it was so fun to read this because of where I know you are now and how I know you're feeling now and the transformation that you've made. So thank you for honoring us and everybody out there with sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Okay, so why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what life was like in your background and just prior to joining us in the Nth Degree Career Clarity Program.
Sure. So I would definitely consider myself kind of a high achiever. So I have I have my undergraduate degree and then I have two master's degrees, and they're kind of all sort of focused on public health and science. And so I considered myself to be kind of on the path. I had these degrees and I was working in a job that was right up my alley where I was doing vaccine development research in a military medicine setting. And so it was kind of all of these things that I had learned about and was putting into practice, and it looked really, really good on paper, but I felt like my soul was dying. It was it was such a weird place to be because when you have all these milestones you want to hit in your career and you kind of feel like you start hitting them and then you don't feel the same way that you thought you would, it really puts you in turmoil. So I really just felt like I was miserable and I was kind of exhausted, and there was no real integration between kind of work and life. They felt very separate. Wow. And it was a very weird place to be. And I just was like, what is going on? How do I get out of it? Why do I feel this?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I think is really funny is with our clients, like most people come to us thinking they're solving one problem, and it turns out to be something a little bit different than what they conceptualized at first. So when you were out there in the world looking for a quote unquote solution, and you found that webinar through Emory, and you were, I'm assuming, doing a lot of other things as well to try to find your solution, what did you feel like your problem was, or what did you feel like you were trying to solve for?
Yeah, and this is probably going to sound so juvenile in some way, but I trying to solve the problem of like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what do I want to be? When I grow up, that kind of feeling. And so I had a couple of different things that I was really thinking about because my husband's in the military, so we move around a lot, and so I thought, well, okay, I need to solve the problem of having a job that lets me have flexibility. And then I thought, well, I'm probably not going to have that and something that feels meaningful. So I kind of need to sort of choose between them. And so I was trying to sort of solve this, like, okay, find the work environment, but don't worry about how you feel. Don't worry about if it's purpose driven. Don't worry about that kind of thing because you've never seen it. You're not seeing anybody who's doing it, and you have no real way to articulate it. So just try to find this remote job, that lets you move around. And so I thought that's what the problem I was solving for. But it actually was like much bigger than that.
Wow. That's so fascinating because what I'm hearing in your mind was that you had to make a choice and something had to be sacrificed, right? Like it's either that this meets my lifestyle and my needs and perhaps even our financial needs or, whatever you were thinking about as far as that being okay, or I get to love what I do. And finding that middle ground seemed to be a huge challenge. And what I love is that when we, started talking and you were sharing your journey to how you even got to that call with us was, I remember you saying exactly that. It's not that I want to find work I love and I want to have everything. I want to figure out, like, what do I have to sacrifice? Or like, what's the trade that I'm going to have to make? And I think that was a big epiphany Well, there we go. I just dropped my microphone. I think that was a big epiphany that you had partway through the program. Was like, oh, maybe I don't have to sacrifice one thing for another. And it's not that I can have everything all the time, but it's that I can, if I'm clear about what I do want, I can have those things.
Yes, absolutely. And I think because I didn't have real clarity around what that thing was going to be, but you're absolutely right, where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make some kind of a sacrifice. So what does that look like? And now let me try to figure out how to fit a bunch of things into that small box of a solution.
Oh, geez. Okay. So where were you looking for solutions, and what were you hoping to find, and how did that process go? What was disappointing? What was working? What was not working?
Oh, Tracy, this little high over here was trying everything.
Oh, you were my heart. We're the same person.
I mean, it was really like, okay, well, I don't know how to fix this problem, so I'm going to try a bunch of different other things. So essentially what I thought was, okay, maybe I won't have a fulfilling career, so why don't I join, a professional women's network and take on a leadership role, because maybe that's where I'll find fulfillment. And let me join, this other type of women's networking group, because maybe the actual work I'm doing won't be fulfilling, but I can at least have these other avenues that I'm doing. And then, I read everything. I had so many blogs I was looking at and all these career sites, and I was joining webinars left and right. And then I joined a mentorship program for military spouses. So I was like, all right, now I'm going to get some kind of solution. And it was like, I was like, it was really wonderful to talk to someone every couple of weeks. But, I was just like throwing things out there, saying like, well, I can't really fix the work. I can't fix what's going on because I don't really know what that is. So let me try a bunch of other things. And I was just feeling so defeated because I thought, well, I've tried everything. I have no idea where to go from here now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Jeez. And talk about like piling it on. It's like, if this isn't working, maybe I can make it work outside of work, but then the dynamic of your job not fulfilling you ultimately leaves you with less energy and interest and excitement in all those other things,
Oh, you've like nailed it. And that's exactly what it is. It just was this, like you said, you're trying all these different things, but when you spend so much of your life working, it's hard to let that part of it, of your whole world just kind of go dead and think you're going to rejuvenate yourself with a bunch of other things. Like they really do. There's so much energy there. So yeah.
It really is. And I think we think at the beginning, like we can be robots and we can sort of turn it on and turn it off. And this can be fulfilling while this is draining. But like when you go to bed, you're thinking about getting up in the morning. And when you're getting up in the morning, you're thinking about the job you have to go do. And so it's all a cycle, I think, of energy and where and how we spend it. So so it is funny because like I said, I did read over the notes that I wrote from our first call. And one of the things that you said was like, I'm so drained because I'm pretending to be engaged and feeling disengaged all at the same time. And so you're at that point, I always use this as like an analogy. You're basically doing two jobs. One is like, here's who I think I won't need to be for everybody else. And then the work that you're actually tasked to do each day. And no wonder you get burned out or tired or like you were feeling just like your soul was in turmoil.
Like dying.
Yeah.
You're right. Because you start to question yourself. You're thinking, well, I know that I'm a hard worker, but I'm feeling unmotivated. So like, am I lazy? And it's like, well, no, I don't think so, but I'm not doing the work. And so, it's all of those things.
Yeah, I resonate with that a lot of like, my identity in myself is that I'm a high achiever and have a lot of potential and I work hard. But then when you really don't want to do something, your body and your mind can only exist at odds for so long. And so you start doing things where you're like, that doesn't align with who I am. Like I don't sleep until noon. Like I don't do, these things that then you're like, well, I'm actually doing them. So what does that say about either me or the work that I'm, that I'm involved in? So yeah, thank you for that transparency. That's huge. So you and I connected through one of these, you looking for resources, and it was specifically a webinar that you watched, and then you booked one of our clarity calls. So we had a one-on-one conversation. So what did you feel in that conversation stood out from the things that you had been trying and sort of not getting great results from previously?
Sure. Yeah. And actually kind of leading into our conversation, really the webinar, I think what really made me want to connect with you and talk more, to you and figure out what you were doing and how that could work for me is because in the webinar that you did, you really put language around what I was feeling. And I think because
Yeah.
was feeling really alone trying to navigate it, even though I had all these resources of people and programs or other, again, webinars. The language started to sound the same, and I was like, okay, yeah, I've heard this, but and I'm usually very like, I like to be very engaged, but I think for you, when you were talking in the webinar and you really you just hit it on the head about feeling that exhaustion from trying to essentially do two jobs and some of the things. So I knew that you got it right, and so that was already something that I hadn't been able to see in all the other things, because I just felt like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense what you're saying, but you're not really getting what I'm feeling. And so I think you were able to help me see that. And I think also you really clarified for me what the program could provide in terms of clarity and confidence. And both of those things were things that I had been so struggling with, where I was like, I don't know how to talk about what I think I want to do. I don't even know what I want to do. And I was feeling so stuck. And so it really stuck out to me in our call that you got that. And you were saying, I can help you with that. I really can, and I'm thinking, okay, but can you, Tracy, can you really help me?
It's like so many people tell me like this sounds too good to be true. Like, I've struggled for so long to figure this out. What makes you think you have the solution that nobody else has? But the reality is, like, I've lived it, and I've served enough people now to know that when I talk to someone like you who's feeling all the ways you just described, I know I can help you. And I have to hold back sometimes because people don't want to be overly, sold or whatever. But I'm like, work with me. Like, let me help you, stop doing it the hard way. So I so appreciate that feedback. That's huge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, let me ask you this. This might be a funky question. Was there anything that almost prevented you from saying yes? Or were you a yes from the get-go? Like, yes, let's work together. Let's do this. Was there a little bit of doubt? Was there any concern?
Oh yeah, there was a little bit of doubt. And I think it's because, well, I know exactly why it was. So I had, as a part of this journey of figuring out what I was going to do and solve this problem, I had invested in a program that I should have known from the start it wasn't quite right for what I wanted. I think it was more geared toward entrepreneurs, and I thought, well, maybe that's what I need to be doing. So I had just invested in something that I was seeing no return on. And in fact, when you and I had our call, I was still investing in it, trying to sort of pay it off. And so I thought to myself, you know what? Why would I do something else and invest in something when I'm still working through something else that didn't work for me? So, and so I was thinking, like, I don't know, maybe I just shouldn't do it because I'm already feeling some regret and mistake, that I've made. So yeah, I almost let that sort of stop me because my past experience, which is never necessarily a predictor of the future, but that's what I had to go on, where I was like, oh man, but I know what it feels like when you make a mistake and you're trying to rectify it.
You get burned. Yeah, there's a lot of crap out there, honestly. And maybe this wasn't even crap. It was just marketed so well that you thought it was for you, but it really wasn't solving the actual problem that you had. So I totally get that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was the game changer then? Like, what ultimately made it a yes for you?
So honestly, and I promise Tracy didn't pay me to say this, it was honestly the testimonials I was looking through, because I thought, okay, I've heard it from you, and of course you're going to stand behind what you're offering, and I'm doing some research and trying to figure out, but I was like, well, let me just listen to people in their own words, talk about their experience. And I listened to a couple, and there was one testimonial in particular where she said something about, I was really skeptical because I was about to go down a path of spending money for grad school, spending 10 years of my life doing this. And I was so skeptical that Tracy was going to be able to help me figure this out. And she did. And so there was something about how she communicated where she was that it just, I don't know, there was something that clicked, and I was like, you know what? Tracy guarantees it. And people are saying they've had this experience, and I'm thinking there's no way I could possibly have this experience, but like, what do I have to lose? Right. And it was 30 days. And I'm like, you can do anything, and just do it. So that really, it honestly, hearing from other people, their experience and where they were coming from, I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to give it a try.
I love it. That means so much because I know the exact testimonial you're talking about, and it was such a joy to do because I was like, this is such a great story, because she really was going to spend all this money and all this time to go down this path that we realized within 3 weeks of working together would have been a horrible fit and would have been ultimately, I don't like to say that things are wasted, but because you can always get more money, but like you can't get time back. So she was going to spend 10 years of her life going down this path, regardless of the fact that we saved her $70,000, which was huge. We saved her 10 years of her life pursuing something that ultimately would not have made her happy or made her very much money, frankly. So like I really love that. Okay. So you said yes, you got started. What were the first couple things that happened in the program for you that affirmed that this was a good decision for you?
Yeah. So, like anything, you start off and you're thinking, okay, all right, there are these exercises and like, are they really going to work? And I remember you saying like, trust the process. And I think number one, before I really got into the program, you asked me to sort of write down like the 10 things that I wanted to get out of this.
Yeah.
And as going through the first couple of exercises and things, I'm starting to see, wow, I think I can get these 10 things out of this, right?
Yeah.
But it really started to click where there was an exercise we did, around values. And it was really the first time that I had written down and articulated what mattered to me and why, and that we through it. And it was like a light switch. It just, from there on, it kind of shifted the whole thing. And I was looking at myself differently and looking at everything else in my life through that lens. And that was really where I started to think, okay, we are on to something.
Yes. And for all those of you out there listening and going, oh my God, really, values? Are you serious? Like, come on. She means it, because prior to this call, Nichole and I were going back and forth about how we're having this on Skype and how ancient Skype is. And she was like, check out my new job. Here's the About Me page. And right after, in that email, she wrote, I'm so excited because this aligns with these top 5 core values that I had. And she listed them out. That means this is months down the road. It's been 6 months since we worked together. And she's still living and breathing decision-making using those values. And that's the difference. That's the difference between somebody going, here's a core values exercise, and this is how this is going to change your life, to taking values and turning them into commitments that help you dictate really solid life decisions. So there's a beautiful living, breathing example of the power of that and how it's not commonly done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was huge. I think for you, at least I know from, the get-go and having worked with you and you working with your coach, that was a big breakthrough. So
yeah, it absolutely was. Thank you for putting that into context, for people watching this, because it's very easy to think like, okay, yeah, I've heard this before. I've tried that before. But the way in which you do it and the way in which you have us walk through it, it matters and it's meaningful and it really does stick with you. And it is the thing that I come back to over and over and over again. So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So how did the program go for you, and what were the outcomes that you got that you were really excited about? Because I know that you hit the ground running right after you graduated to find that dream job, and you had your clarity and you had your confidence and you had the certainty. So talk about your experience in the program and the outcomes that it gave you.
Sure. So, kind of as a little background and context here, when I started the program, I think I started in January.
Yeah.
Around the same time, I had somebody reach out to me about a job opportunity from a year ago, meeting somebody randomly through a friend.
Right.
And so as I'm going through the program, I'm starting to go through this interview process. And I'm telling you, just having this in my mind about what mattered to me and why. And I think especially once we got to the very end of the program with the niche crafting call, and you being able to take all of the things from the program and wrap them up in a way that I realized, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Having that language as I'm going through the interview process, it was just like my energy was different. Maybe the answers I gave would have been the same a year ago or not, but there was a different energy to it because I knew where I was coming from. And so I ended up going through this process and being hired into a position that utilizes the skills that I have in program and project management, but the company, I mean, built into their core values are my values. And
Yes, that's
it's
the
this,
dream.
oh my gosh, the alignment is unreal. And so I am so grateful that 2 weeks ago I started my new job, and everything, Tracy, that we went through in the program that we talked about, and with the coaching that I got and the support that I had, I mean, it's all, I wish I could tell people, you guys, like, my new job and this work that I'm doing is soul work. It is like the thing that lights me up. And now I can talk about my work and my life, and they all come together. And so I even have a different level of physical energy when I walk away from my computer, and it is a remote job that will support my lifestyle as a military spouse. It supports what we need in terms of the finances, which, we need that. And when I leave the workspace and go talk to my husband or my friend, I'm still talking about my work.
Yes.
And that was something I wasn't doing before. And so I really was looking for this dream job. And while it came to me before we really got into the program, I don't think that I would have been able to speak to what they were looking for and what matters to me in the same way without the program.
Wow. You may not have even recognized that it was the dream job, having not done the work, right? Because it had been sort of offered to you and you're like, I don't know, I guess I'll apply, right? Like, maybe this will work out. And you're right that I'm like tearing up, honestly, because that energy shift is it's everything. It's everything. We get to go through life, presumably once, at least with this brain and this body and this whatever, right? And to be able to say you do like soul work, and to be the kind of person who's gushing about it later on when you're done, and to be proud of what you do and know it makes an impact. And oh, by the way, Nichole she's not a volunteer. She's making a good amount of money to do good work in a company that she's super aligned with. Like, you don't have to sacrifice money for love of your job. And in fact, studies show that the more you love what you do, you inevitably spend more time on it. You talk about it more often. You think about it more. And those people inevitably become better at what they do. And thankfully, because we're in this capitalist market of ours, right? If you're great at what you do, you command premium prices for that. And so she's already on this amazing trajectory, and the growth and the potential there, I think. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Nichole, but what I see in you is like just the beginning of carving out a space, in this area.
Oh my gosh, that is just so true. And I've had that validated and affirmed for me, even within the first 2 weeks, where I have people in this small team, right now saying like, how did we find you? This is like, I can't wait to see what you're going to do, because there's something that in just being who I am and living those values, that has really resonated with them. And that to have people say to you, like, you're going to do incredible things. I don't even know what, gets you excited, because you're thinking the sky really is the limit. So yeah.
That's so amazing. I'm just sitting in front of a totally different person than 6 months ago. You know what I mean? In the best way. Like I'm reading your words, and I'm not kidding you guys. Like, it's highlighted right here. I'm reading it verbatim. Am I ever going to be able to have a meaningful career that pays what I'm worth? Full stop. Oh, right? Like, I wrote it, you said it. But that was I was like, Nichole, what are you really afraid of? That was the question. I was like, what's your biggest fear in this whole realm, in this part of your life? And it was, I don't think I'm ever going to find a meaningful career that pays me what I'm worth. And I should be farther along than I am. And there's no better transformation than this. And it's a joy and a pleasure to have created something that actually works for people. And so I'm so grateful to have you sharing your story. It's so beautiful. You're getting me all in the feels right now.
I would say you're gonna make me tear up thinking back to that person and that part of that time, and now I've stepped into a whole new way of being. So thank you, Tracy.
You're so welcome. Thank you for putting your trust in us. And I'm so glad that we delivered on everything we said we would. So I have 2 remaining questions for you.
Sure.
One is, what's the main reason, and this may be obvious already, but what's the main reason that you would recommend? Well, first of all, would you recommend the program? I have to ask that. And then the yes and hopefully is why? What's the main reason or major reasons that you would recommend this program for someone like you?
I would say yes, yes, yes. And it works. And I think what you've also done is provided a framework to revisit at any point, because I would imagine that, my career is going to change over time, the stages of my career, all of those things, but you've given me a framework to always return to when I need to have a reminder of, okay, what's next? How do I take the next step? So yes, it works. Trust the process. It works.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, and you're absolutely right, because the nth degree as a process as a whole is circular, and it's because we grow and evolve just as much as crazy things in the world happen, and we have to pivot and make changes, and our priorities evolve and change. And so we don't need a one-time answer. We don't need to give a person a fish. We need to teach them how to fish. And then hope that they will spread that message to others. Like, I want to create a tribe of people who do the nth degree once a year, and we all sort of have a jumpstart January, and we're going to think about what our careers look like this calendar year. I do that for myself, and I know that you'll be doing the same as your career grows and evolves, and as you and your family change as well. So, okay, what would you tell somebody who's considering this, and they're the version of you that's watching this testimonial going, I hope this gives me a yes or a no. What would you say to that person who's I don't know, I'm on the fence. Am I going to get burned? Is it going to be like everything else?
I would say to them, you've probably tried a ton of other things and realized those things don't work. And I'm telling you, as a not paid, participant at this moment, that it works, and that if you're here, you're looking for something. And I guarantee you, the thing that I know to be true is that what Tracy says she's going to do and what she's going to deliver for you, she will. And not everyone can say that. And Tracy stands behind it. Her and her team stand behind this whole process and the nth degree. And so I'm telling you, you need to do this, especially if you have gone through and you have hit all those things you're supposed to hit and checked all those boxes and you're feeling stuck. Really, you need to do this. You will be kicking yourself that you didn't do it sooner. So yes, 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 yes. It's a yes. Just trust the process and take a chance.
My heart is so full right now. Nichole, you're a joy. You literally are this different, brighter, you're calm. Just your energy is so clear. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you, and the ripple effects that you're going to have on not only the people you serve, but the people you come in contact with who are going to see you as that example that you were looking for. And go, wow, it is possible. And maybe it's possible through this program. And and thank you so much. So if you're watching this and this is resonating with you, if you love looking at bright, shiny, happy Nichole's face and you want to have that face, listen, this program is for people who are miserably employed, people who are burned out, people who know deep down that they're made for more, but they are stuck. And what's at the root of that feeling stuck is not knowing. It's not having clarity. And when you don't have clarity, you can't have confidence. When you don't have confidence, you have no certainty in your future, and especially in your career, when you have to be on. You have to know what your value is. You have to articulate that value consistently to get where presumably you want to go. So again, if this is resonating for you and you're there right now, you're miserable, your soul is being sucked out of your job, or if you just know you're made for more and you want to realize that potential, you want to channel that energy into something that you love, I would deeply invite you to consider not joining the program right away, but booking a clarity call with me so you can learn more about our proven program. So if you go to tracytimm.com/clarity, you'll have a link where you can book a free 50-minute clarity call session with either myself or one of my enrollment team. Now, these spots are kind of sometimes hard to come by because we all get busy. So please be serious about the potential of working together if you book one. But we'll give you all the service we can in that 50 minutes, and we'll figure out if this is a good fit for us to work together at this time. And if it is, we'll offer you enrollment. If it isn't, we'll help you find other resources. But make this one commitment to yourself to take action, as Nichole said, right? To really try something that you haven't tried before, or try this knowing that maybe it's going to work out differently than the things that you have tried before. And we so appreciate your faith and your time, and we're going to be good stewards of it. So go to tracytimm.com/clarity, book your free 50-minute clarity call right now if you're ready for it. Nichole, thank you again so much for the honor of your business, for the trust that you put in us to deeply serve you, for trusting in the process along the way, and then for so willingly sharing your story, because as that one testimonial helped you and now you're on a totally different trajectory, this is going to do that exact same thing for someone else. I'm really confident. And so I just thank you so much for your time and your energy and your heart. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Tracy, and to you and the team. I could not be more grateful for everything. So thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. Well, we will see you on the next episode of the what's our show called? The Nth Degree TV. In the meantime, go book that clarity call, watch another testimonial, give a shout out to me and Nichole. Let us know you watch this. But I really look forward to connecting with you when the time is right to see if the Nth Degree Academy is right for you. Take care.